It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Okay, a big show today. I wish under better circumstances. I'm a little pissed off. We have former Congresswoman Dr. Cynthia Mckinney, a great friend of the show, a really beautiful woman, a national treasure in so many different ways. I don't know anybody complains about Cynthia McKinney. I really don't, except this character. Dr. McKinney, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm happy to be here with you too, Ed.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you. So I guess, I got a press release from you today.
The problem is Paul Craig Roberts calls it the prostitute media.
Yeah.
For example, we've got the nation's biggest and longest prison hunger strike going on right now. Nary a word written in the media. And instead, they've got us worried about, what Donald Trump says on his Twitter account at 3:00 in the morning. So, news of all sorts, real news, is not being given to the people of the U.S. Now, this is, of course, has been going on for a long time. And my particular situation that gives rise to the occasion of us speaking together now is because, I just got sick and tired of being the punching bag for certain prostitutes in the media. And it just so happens that this time around is a fellow by the name of Jonathan Bernstein, who's writing for Bloomberg at the Bloomberg View, and the Charlotte Observer picked up the story. And so basically what Jonathan Bernstein is saying is that Howard Dean was irresponsible when he said that Donald Kaine was sniffing, and so, during the first debate, and therefore he must have been using cocaine or something like that. And so now in a story about that, he throws my name in as a peddler of conspiracies. So I just basically decided enough is enough, and I'm going to write about it. So I wrote a piece called Truth Foretold, Specious Journalism and Spurious Assertions. So now basically what I do in this piece is I go through the so-called conspiracies, quote unquote, that I did peddle, quote unquote, using his terminology. And I acknowledge, first of all, that I was, in fact, booted by pro-war Democrats. At that time, it was led by Rahm Emanuel, who is in the failing city of Chicago now as mayor. And those pro-war Democrats worked in concert with like-minded Republicans who wanted to prolong and extend the wars in which the United States was engaged. Remember, Wesley Clark had told us previously that there were at least 7 countries on the table. Dick Cheney had told us that there were approximately 60 countries and that the U.S. was going to be at war for the next generation. So I went through, as best my recollection would allow me, to look at the so-called conspiracies that I peddled. I start with 2000, the 2000 presidential election with George Bush. And basically, the bottom line is that I said early on that there was election theft. I was the one that held a town hall meeting, called in Choice Point. Choice Point, that's right. Database Technologies is what they're called now. And called in Choice Point and put the company representative under oath, and he testified as to how the election in 2000 was stolen. So yes, I said it. I provided the evidence for it, and now everybody takes it for granted in 2016. The second thing I did
wait, let's stop there for a second, because back to the Choice Point situation. I'm a private investigator, and Choice Point's one of the database companies that we use. And another one at the time was a company called IRB. And what they did was IRB and Choice Point did a joint venture together where they created a third company. And everybody was excited about this. It says, oh boy, there's this great new company. We all got to sign up. But they put out a press release saying, no, this is only for a special project. And the special project was making people have felony records on the voter rolls, Democrats at least, down in Florida, so that they couldn't vote in the 2000 election. That's how the Bush stole it.
That's exactly right. Now, of course, we all know it. Thank you that you are a private investigator and you have access to this information as well. But I'm sure you shared it at the time and continue to share it now. The idea that I was peddling conspiracies, quite frankly, the theft of the 2000 presidential election was a conspiracy. Okay, so now the second thing was about the warnings that came into the Bush administration about an impending attack on the U.S. Yes, I said it. Yes, there was evidence for it. And now today in 2016, it's taken for granted. The third thing that I put on the table that might be of concern, or that certainly caused me a lot of problem, was the 911 Victim Compensation Fund that I objected to, because I am a student of the COINTELPRO program. And so I understand how the courts can be used to get at the truth. But the 911 Victim Compensation Fund disallowed wrongful death lawsuits. And so it was like, you take this payoff and you're not going to file a lawsuit. So none of this information is going to be released publicly and going to go through the courts. Now, of course, we've seen the JASTA bill vetoed, which would allow lawsuits against the Saudi Arabia. And of course, Saudi Arabia is the only entity that's involved, but certainly Saudi Arabia would roll over and tell on the remaining people who were involved in the 911 tragedy. So therefore, the fact that lawsuits have been thwarted, and we have the story of Ellen Mariani, who tried her best to do an independent lawsuit and just failed on all counts, finally having to settle. So what antiwar.com literally just reported is that when Congress comes back after they've been reelected on the JASTA bill, they're going to weaken it significantly to take care of the problems that the White House, I was going to say the Bush White House, might as well, yeah. The Bush Obama White House found objectionable in the bill. And what I've advised people publicly is go ahead and file those lawsuits now while you have the opportunity to get the court system in gear under the current legislation. But that lawsuits were not desired is clear now. It's clearly evident. The fourth thing that I discussed was
hold up a second.
United States.
Back to the third thing. You would think that this week, so topical, when this bill was just vetoed, and then it was overturned by the Congress and unvetoed, and instead of saying tipping their hat off to Cynthia Mckinney for this, You know what I mean? Because this is something you were directly involved in. Instead, they try to discredit you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the fourth thing was the attack on Iraq, the Iraq War, where, of course, you know, I was vociferously against U.S. In the war. Well, by the time, which was March of 2003, I had been kicked out of Congress for the first time. And so I was not there during the actual launching of the invasion, but I was there to cast a vote against the Iraq War. And now, of course, we've got the Chilcott report that has come out that has said everything in an official capacity that many of us, but particularly many of us who were not in the Congress, but that I said while we were in the Congress. And that is that Saddam Hussein's possession of weapons of mass destruction was a lie. And in fact, remember, they set up the young man, I can't remember his name, Scott. They set him up on child solicitation charges. That's why it's best not to go on any of those websites. Don't go there. Just don't go there, because you don't know. It was an FBI sting, and they got him, and I don't know, you know, the circumstances around it, but he was a very courageous young man who was a part of the United Nations inspections team, who was a U.S. citizen, and he said, no, Iraq doesn't have any weapons of mass destruction, and it turned out to be the case. The next thing was around Hurricane Katrina, and my criticism of Michael Chertoff, actually what I said was that Michael Chertoff should be arrested and charged with wrongful death, because the Department of Homeland Security was actually arresting senior citizen homeowners and charging them with wrongful death because of their negligence, quote unquote, negligence in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And so what I said to the secretary during a hearing was that if you're going to arrest them for negligence, maybe you should be arrested as well, because you didn't do your job. And then, of course, there was a congressional report. And what did it say? It said exactly that Michael Chertoff failed to do his job, and that people were needlessly harmed, and some people needlessly died because Michael Chertoff didn't do his job. Then another thing related to that, which these people revel in, these Jonathan Bernstein types, was a fact that I received a phone call stating actually the call was from a concerned mother who happened to work at the Red Cross, and she was concerned about the way the bodies during the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina were being dumped in Louisiana swamps. And so I mentioned it at a meeting that was recorded, and then, of course, you know, everybody, you know, makes fun of it. But now, of course, we know that 911 human remains were dumped in a landfill. And when the investigation was done, the finding came back that this was dereliction of duty. So now, of course, there's, in the absence of any investigation, because, of course, I was kicked out of Congress again before I could commence an investigation of what just exactly did happen in Louisiana with respect particularly to the treatment of human remains, then I was criticized, but there hasn't been an investigation, and I would suspect that if we did have an investigation, thank goodness we had an investigation of 911 human remains, finding that they were dumped in a landfill. Can you believe that? And then, of course, the final thing that I brought up was about the Capitol Hill Police Department, and it just so happens that there was a demonstration just literally weeks ago held by former black Capitol Hill police officers demonstrating the racism in the Capitol Hill Police Department. And then not only that, but we have the testimony on the record of the U.S. Senate's lone black GOP member who says that his interactions with the Capitol Hill police amounted to him being targeted. And so now, of course, this, of course, provides evidence for the fact that I, too, was targeted. But I was targeted because I came to the defense of the black Capitol Hill police officers whose superior officer called them nigger. And because I came to their defense and support, I was targeted, and I was targeted by in an act of racist provocation. So at any rate, now we know, I don't think there's anyone who would say that there isn't racism in police departments across the United States. So here again, the evidence for what I said is clear, and I was kicked out of office not once but twice because I dared to tell the truth. It's a shame, it's a disgrace, and the media that perpetuate these lies do a disservice to their organizations. The individual journalists do a disservice to the field of journalism.
Yeah, it really. Let me ask you a question. Now, with all this talk right now about the first woman president, right? Now, you were the first, the youngest woman voted to Congress.
Well, yeah, kind of. That's right. I didn't even think about that because that was so long ago. Yeah. But, I was pretty young, which, was part of the problem because I brought the generational shift, and, I brought an attitudinal shift, and that was not appreciated. So when I saw something wrong, I spoke out about it. That's not appreciated. And clearly, where's our Frank Church in the Congress today? Where's our Pike, who did the House committee investigation into the excesses of COINTELPRO and the police state? Where's our Pike today? They don't exist. I could even say, where's our Cynthia Mckinney today?
It's so true, and you think they would point this out. Now, the first woman running for president, here's this iconic woman who was the youngest woman. You think, and I know for a fact because a friend of mine who lived in Atlanta said, "Oh yeah, I know Cynthia Mckinney. We learned about her in school because she was the youngest woman." Let me ask you a question too. Now, I just had you brought up how we don't have the church committee, we don't have any kind of congressional investigations nowadays at all. This Benghazi hearing. I just had on Ambassador Stevens' ex-fiancée. I did 90 minutes with her. What is your take on what went on over there?
Well, I think I understood the question. You're breaking up badly on my end.
Okay.
And I hope I'm not breaking up on your end, but if it was with Benghazi, here's what I'll throw out, and that is that my voting recommendation for the 2016 presidential election is I recommend an ABC strategy. That's the strategy that the Republicans and Democrats employed to get rid of me. And so now I think it's appropriate. It worked for them, and maybe it could work for us, an ABC strategy, anybody but Clinton. And the reason I say that is this, that Hillary Clinton destroyed democracy in Haiti, and I've written about that, and people can go to my website, allthingscynthiamckinney.com, where they can read about what Hillary Clinton did in Haiti, to democracy in Haiti. And it's still happening now. They're still trying to subvert democracy in Haiti. I talked about Benghazi, of course, with Libya. Hillary Clinton destroyed Libya. And so if that's, and then we need look no further than the Democratic primary, where she destroyed U.S. democracy by stealing the Democratic primary. Therefore, if this is not the kind of political behavior that should be rewarded with the highest office in the land. Therefore, my recommendation is that we vote anybody but Clinton. We vote for the Libertarians, we vote for the Greens, yes, even vote for Trump, in order to deny the Electoral College vote to Hillary Clinton. I'm hoping that the Green Party will get 5% of the vote and therefore will become a major political party in the U.S. I'm hoping that the Libertarians get a significant chunk of the votes. Those who feel that they can under no circumstance vote for Trump, then they can vote for the Libertarian Party. There are some people who would say, well, I can't even vote for them. And so on my radio program, I'm going to interview Party for Socialism and Liberation, Peace and Freedom Party, and all of the other parties that we have for whom people in the U.S. can cast a vote. And so the ABC means anybody, yes, anybody, whether it's the Party for Socialism and Liberation, the Peace and Freedom Party, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, or the newly fashioned Republican Party, anybody but Clinton. The last person we want to continue the war against Russia and China that President Obama has launched is to put Hillary Clinton in the White House.
And when you say you're doing these interviews, that's on your Monday night show. It's Monday night at midnight on KPFK in California, but they have a website too, KPFK, where you can listen online all over the world. I think we just lost you. Are you there? Yeah, we just lost you. Yeah, Cynthia Mckinney has really bad, no, she's there. We just got to call back. It's still on, but she has really bad internet over there. She's in someplace in Asia. No, she's offline now. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying that your show is Monday night on KPFK at midnight, right? Now.
That's right.
Now here in Nevada, okay, this is where we had the most drastic theft of our convention, where Bernie got totally screwed. They stole our votes didn't count here, and the delegates' votes didn't count. I just registered with the Green Party. I left the Democratic Party. I registered with the Green Party, and Hillary's ahead of Trump here. And now, so what would you advise people though in a swing state to go third?
Ed, yeah. I can't. I just don't have the bandwidth. It's not working.
Right. Okay.
I'll have to talk to you later.
Okay, Cynthia, thank you so much. I'll plug your station, and we'll get together in the future, okay? Thank you. Okay. Well, that's Cynthia Mckinney. She's off in Asia or China. It's teaching college down there. And so her connection is not that good. But we got everything. We got pretty much everything I wanted to get from her. This situation here is disgraceful with this columnist here, Jonathan Bernstein, who threw out this comment, just invoking her name at all, in his commentary about Trump and cocaine and Howard Dean, to throw out the name Cynthia Mckinney as if Cynthia Mckinney was booted out because of peddling conspiracy theories. This is a woman who has stuck her neck out for people like Jonathan Bernstein. Okay, when she does these investigations, she tells his truth, and she sticks her neck out on a limb. It's for his benefit as well as all the citizens of America and citizens of the world. And this is something we need to really get behind. So Cynthia Mckinney, her show is Monday night on KPFK at midnight. And also, too, her website is allthingscynthiamckinney.com. A great friend of the show, and I think we got some great information out of her, although the connection was lousy. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
No rules, no rules, no taboo topics, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, no fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio, American Freedom Radio.